Hello, good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a good morning. So, we've come to the beginning of the week. This is 27th of July, and we're going to look at our charts from the weekly point of view so that we see exactly what we expect to be happening this week. So, we'll start off with the symbol on our screen. So if we start with the USD, with the SP 500. Last week, you can remember what we said. We were actually expecting price to proceed to the upper side. We expected that after the break beyond the line which we had previously, we had the red line which is at the top. We said that if the price could successfully break above that line, we expected a continuation to the upper side. So that does not happen. If you can see clearly, that did not happen. The price instead went slightly to the upper side, but has now pulled back and is below the same place. So as long as the price is held below the upper red line, we actually expect some corrections to the lower side. The move which you are currently seeing to the lower side is not that the price is reversing to the lower side. This is just a retracement. So expect more retracements. Expect price to retrace somehow up to this point around 3130.0, where we don't expect price to break below that line, but that's not to say that the price will not break below. Sometimes the price may actually break and close below that level. So if the price does not close below that point, that will be a buy place. But if on the other side the price breaks and closes below that point, then that may now mean we are downwards. So we are basically just waiting to see what will happen. If the price goes below, closes below 31.30, that means we are still sellers. If the price goes above and closes above the upper line, the upper red line again, then that will mean we are continuing upwards. So I'm going to add an indicator on this chart so that we see if whatever I'm saying actually makes sense if we look at it from the indicator's point of view. Just a second. I'm going to add the ADX indicator, average directional movement index, this one. So this is upwards. As you can see, from this point here, we are upwards all the way up to where the price is now. We've not seen a reversal. That is, the red line has not gone above the green line from this point here. This means we are still upwards. That means we are somehow still upwards. The other indicator which I'm going to add a moving average. I'm going to add the alligator indicator. This is actually not a moving average as such, but it's made up of moving averages. So this, as long as the price is held above the three lines, that means we are upwards, and all that started from this point. You can see we are upwards. We've been upwards. As it is now, somehow we are still upwards. So if we are looking at this chart now, you actually are supposed to be looking for buy positions. Keep looking for buy orders. Wait for price to pull back slightly, as it is doing now. Wait for it to correct itself even lower so that you get the correct place to look for a trade. So the next chart we look at gold. And before I switch to it, you can remember that what we said last week. We mentioned that gold is upwards. We said that gold is still somehow very much bullish, and as it is now, you can see, wait, let me load it here. You can see that gold is above the highest high so far. This is the highest gold has been. This point here, this is the highest gold has been, and as you can see, the price has actually gone above that level. So this means that if the price does not close above this point, we are likely to see a close below 1824.55. That means we are downwards. But if the price closes above this level, then that would mean we are continuing upwards. So the idea here will be to wait and see what will happen after the close of this week. If the price closes above the upper line, which is 19.81, that would mean we are continuing upwards. But if the price pulls back down, then we want it to close below 1824.55. That's the correct place where if the price closes below, then we are going to be looking for a sell. But as it is now, we are waiting. We want to see a close either above that line or below the lower line, so that we can make a good decision next week when you are starting the month. So the next chart we look at, we'll want to look at Brent oil. We have it here. We would like to look at Brent oil. Brent oil, we do have this. This is a very, very good trend line. So the price has not been able to use it. We had a support, a resistance. There's a minor resistance here. On the lower side, we also have a level here. So technically, we expect price to come back up to this point, somewhere around this area here. We expect price to proceed to the upper side. We want it to come back up to around the level which I've just drawn. I mean, where the two trend line crosses. If it can come back to this point, then this will be the ideal place where we would like to sell from. As it is now, we are somehow still upwards. I don't recommend any sell position. Instead, you should sit back and wait, see whatever happens. So that's my take on this one. We still expect more movements to the upper side. This one here. So the next chart we look at, we want to look at USD, Euro USD, the weekly chart. So this somehow is upwards. I don't recommend a sell on this one, but there's a resistance here where the price may likely bounce off from this level. So we still expect more movements. This week we expect price to at least hit this level, 1.1754, before it reverses to the lower side. So expect a move up to this point, where if you see a sell signal on the daily chart, this will be the correct place to look for a sell from. If you find that a daily chart has closed around this area, or is giving you a sell signal, or you see a sell signal on the 1 hour chart, 4 hour chart, 30-minute chart around this area, you better pick that sell position. With that sell, have your stop loss at least above this level, 1.2005. So the next chart we look at is GBP USD. GBP USD, so far it's upwards. There's a level here which we want, this one. This is upwards. It's upward, but there's a resistance here where the price must clearly ascend beyond. We have this one, we have the upper one, and then we have a trend line which runs all the way from the top like this. So if you draw it like this, you can see that we had a resistance here, we had a resistance, and we expect the same place to be a resistance. So this week we want the current week's candle to actually send a tail up to this point, but should end up closing below. So you should have a pending sell limit along this line. If in the course of this week you find that the price is around this area, this trend line, then that will be the ideal place to look for a sell from. So the idea is not to sell it now, rather wait for price to hit that trend line, then pick a sell position. So the next chart we are going to look at USD-JPY. USD-JPY, this is what we are looking at. This is a sell. We still expect a continuation to the lower side. The reason I'm saying this is because we actually went below a consolidation area last week. Look at this on the 4 hours. We had this here, we had this area, this support, had a support, we had a support, we had a support, then this candle actually closed below that support. So after this close, we do expect price to continue upwards, downwards. Expect more movements to the lower side, expect price to continue to the lower side. There is a trend line here from the top, and then we also have a level here. I basically don't expect price to pull back up to this point in the near future, because we are still downwards. The price may still come back correct, but I don't expect it to do that just this week. So if the price comes back, maybe if it gets back by whatever reason, for whatever reason, then this is the correct place to look for a sell from. As it is now, we are still basically downwards. Keep looking for sell positions. Wait for price to retrace towards that line. Exactly, if you can wait for that 106.41, then you pick a sell position. As it is now, the sell which you took previously is still active. We are still holding onto it. We expect more movements to the upper side, to the lower side. So thank you very much. That should bring us to the end of today's session. We are going to meet again tomorrow at the center. So thank you. See you.